Baseball is in my blood because obviously being from Venezuela, baseball is one of those things that you're either born with a baseball bat or you're born watching baseball with your family. So that family connection with the culture, that's what actually got me the passion with baseball.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Sidelines. I'm Brian Smith. As you take your seat in the stands and survey the precision of every blade of grass, anticipating the game ahead. Food vendors walking up the stairs calling out for those that want stadium snacks or ice-cold drinks. The players warming up before the first inning. For some, it's a passion of entertaining the masses. For Domingo Guarenas, a retired professional baseball player, for him, baseball isn't a passion, it's life.
My dad was one of those drivers that always was there for me. Not only there for me to actually kind of push me, okay, you should be doing this, but it kind of like to be my biggest cheerleader. Especially when you hit that ball out of the park and be the first one in the stands and just kind of calling it and going kind of like, that's my son, kind of like that proud part of it, that Papa proud part of it. So then he definitely drove it home and made it enough of a fun but professional atmosphere. Not the typical parent of like, you have to do this because I'm the kind of grumpy parent, but kind of like, okay, well, you're doing this right. He even actually went above and beyond, and in an interesting way, kind of talking to the coaches and telling them you have to bench him so he can understand both ends of the spectrum part of it. So yeah, that was definitely that driver moving forward. The most exciting moment for me was when you get that opportunity of actually play as a professional and get the fans to go and cheer your name and really go for that. Hello, I want your autograph. I want to be part of what you're actually doing that in terms of that professional aspect of it. When you realize that you're in a different level and you're becoming that professional part of it in baseball, and also being able to share the passion of baseball when like that crack at the bat and on a different stage that everybody doesn't have to get the chance to be part of. That's the best part of baseball.
It's easy to love a game when you're healthy, but for some, an unexpected injury can show them a whole new side to the sport and bring the passion out more than they thought possible, with all new opportunities waiting to be explored like an unopened tube.
Interestingly enough, it was the end of my professional career. Unfortunately, went through the same injury that Buster Posey went through, and ended my baseball career as an active professional player. But at that moment, I realized that baseball was the only thing and the main thing that actually makes me happy. Why? Because I couldn't stop thinking about baseball. But it was not a sad way that I don't have baseball. It was a way that even though I'm not there for baseball to play it on a professional level, I was there for baseball to enjoy baseball and bring that happiness part of it.
Unfortunately, the negative parts of human nature can always be an impediment to your dreams in the stars, but you can always pivot to turn that into an opportunity.
As my second wave of baseball part of it, I was lucky enough that I spoke both languages, Spanish and English. And when I had the opportunity to play internationally, especially when I had the pleasure to play in Texas, in the late 90s when I was in my career, there was a lot of racism still, especially for that language barrier aspect of it in terms of Spanish. So that shook me to the core how some coaches were still treating Latin players, extra players or extra bodies or cheap labor, if I don't know how they call it multiple times. So I transitioned from there, and I was able to be part of that unofficial translator for the Latin players. So the coaches would come to me, and I would actually be the unofficial translator for my friends. And then instead of actually telling them where to go and how to get there, I'm basically going to make their experience a little bit better. So that's why I'm doing the broadcasting at the moment with the Vancouver Canadians, to be able to continue that and giving back to the game that I love the most. So that was kind of like the bad thing of baseball that pivoted into a good thing of baseball.
There are some moments that the barely contained energy of the crowd charges a player like a battery hooked up to a nuclear reactor. You feel the love pouring from the cheering crowd with your name on their lips.
My next goal are two things. One, bring a little bit more of that Latin American flavor, that hurrah moment for that baseball passion to the Vancouver fans. Because even though there's a lot of passion and a lot of love for the Vancouver Canadians, we're still missing a little bit of that Latin flavor, Latin power, that hurrah part of it, of the game. And I want to actually bring it down through my content. And also, hopefully in the future, I'm going to maybe do a little bit of broadcasting in Spanish Spanish to kind of bring that flavor. So not only the Latin American community that's actually growing in Vancouver can enjoy the game in their own language, in their own screams, in their own, hello, here we are, and in that power that only your own language can give you. Even though the Vancouver Canadians are doing an unbelievable job with their broadcasting, one of the best ones, if not the best one in the Pacific Northwest League. Sometimes not having your own language and hearing your own phrases said about the game that you love, that's definitely my next goal.
For some, baseball is a passion and a hobby that can become professional. But for others, the sport is a way to unlock the social and economic barriers pinning them and their families from affecting their true potential for success.
There's a lot of cultural influence that actually goes into the whole equation. So, for example, to give you a concrete example, like for example, North American players usually have the full gamut of education, like high school, university, and they have a lot of education that backs them up. And even though they have the pressure to actually make it to a higher level, it's more of a passion pressure, not necessarily a financial or a cultural pressure that they have to make it through. That's in terms of like the background aspect of it. But in terms of the passion on and off the field, you're in baseball and a lot of sports in North America, it's more of a, okay, we're going to start you with this and then we'll work our way through it, unless it's hockey in Canada. When you're bored with a hockey stick. Baseball is one of those games that you have to fall in love with the game. In Latin America, that difference is you have to be the best, you have to be the loudest, you have to be that rah part of it that allows you to be that next level. Like when you're you're pimping a home run, it's not just a bat flip. It's let's scream and let's make it happen. Let's go. Go through that element of passion and show it to the fans that I'm enjoying it, you should enjoy it. Let's be part of this unity because baseball, especially in the Latin American cultures, it's about the experience, the family experience, and the family being part of what's going on the field. Not necessarily, I'm going to a baseball game, I'm going to enjoy it. If I interact with the players, it might be another thing. In Latin America, unless you interact with the players or what's happening on the field, you don't feel like you're part of the game.
Being flexible like Gumby enables you to fill a variety of roles on a team and expands your skill sets and allows you to understand the sports in a deeper, more profound meaning.
I was a catcher. Even though I started as a first baseman, I was instructed by my coaches very well because I was one of those guys that showed that leadership on the field and showed that I was able to communicate well with my teammates, that being behind the plate, being able to actually see everything that was happening in front of me and being able to channel that communication skills.
Every culture brings its own little unique flavor to each sport, and Domingo is no different with the fiery style and flair that he wants to start incorporating into his baseball broadcasting passions.
Onto that one spot and people to look at me and communicate across. Catcher was definitely one that called on me, but as my career developed, I had to become that utility player and play multiple positions and being that team player to be able to kind of rotate through. But catcher, and once a catcher, always a catcher.
There are certain moments that exemplify your passion when the crowd reacts to an incredible play you made. It will change every aspect and put your mindset to a higher level that your opponent will never catch up to.
There was one play that happened right before I got signed in Latin America, because in Latin America you signed very, very early, starting your training and your training part of it when you're 14. As a difference in North America, you kind of start that process 16, 17 when you finish high school. You're part of the training part at 14, so you evolve. They use that as your launch pad to actually be part of the signing aspect of it. But there's a play that always sounded like, and I think it actually changed my mind about what I wanted to do and what made it different for me, which was when we were playing our provincials for the capital city in Caracas. And I was able to not only bring the time run on the play and to the plate, but also make sure that all my teammates were actually there for every single element of the play. And I was able to actually hit a home run in extra innings to get us to the next level, but be able to actually enjoy that roar of the crowd, that energy from your teammates, and actually challenging that, and then kind of being like, you're part of us, I'm part of you. Not only moving as a team and not just moving as an individual. I know, like that home run was absolutely magical for me.
Thank you so much for listening to Beyond the Sidelines on the Evolution Podcast Network. I'm Brian Smith, and remember, get back up.